Join me in this powerful story of dignity and grace in the face of prejudice. When respected attorney Jasmine Crockett faces humiliation at an exclusive restaurant, her response transforms not just the moment, but the lives of everyone involved. This isn't just about standing up for yourself. It's about changing hearts when they least expect it. You'll be moved by how a single moment of mistreatment becomes an opportunity for profound change. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments as we explore how responding to injustice with wisdom rather than anger can create ripples of transformation that touch everyone they reach. The hostess at Le Chateau, Washington, D.C.'s most prestigious restaurant, barely glanced up as Jasmine Crockett entered. Despite her tailored navy suit and the reservation made weeks in advance, Jasmine noticed the subtle shift in the woman's demeanor, the smile fading, the eyes cooling. "I have a reservation." "Crockett, table for two," Jasmine said, maintaining her poise as she had done countless times in courtrooms across Texas. The hostess tapped at her screen. "I'm not seeing anything under that name." Jasmine checked her phone, showed the confirmation email. "It's right here, 8 p.m. Perhaps there was a system error." The hostess replied with practiced indifference. "We're fully booked tonight. Maybe try somewhere more suitable." The suggestion hung in the air, sharp, pointed, unmistakable in its implication. Around them, white patrons were being seated promptly. Through the restaurant's windows, Jasmine could see empty tables. Her heart hammered against her ribs. After 12 hours negotiating a difficult case, this dinner was supposed to be her celebration. Her client, Maria, a young immigrant whose property rights she had successfully defended, would arrive any minute. As an attorney who had built her reputation on fighting injustice, Jasmine recognized discrimination when it faced her. Yet in this moment, she felt a strange calm replace her initial anger. Something told her this encounter demanded a different approach than the righteous indignation she often employed in court. "Is there a problem here?" The manager approached, his expression guarded but curious. Jasmine took a deep breath. What happened next would transform not just her evening, but the lives of everyone involved. "There seems to be confusion about my reservation," Jasmine explained calmly to the manager, whose name tag read Christopher. "I have confirmation right here." Christopher examined her phone, then frowned at the hostess. "Claire, this reservation is clearly in the system." His voice was low but firm. "Table 12 is available." Claire's cheeks flushed. "That table is reserved for the senator arriving at 8:30. "No, it's not," Christopher corrected, his jaw tight. "Please seat Ms. Crockett immediately." As Claire led Jasmine through the restaurant, whispers followed. Jasmine felt the weight of stares, some curious, others dismissive. At a corner table, a group of executives paused their conversation to watch her pass. "Your server will be with you shortly," Claire said flatly, placing a single menu on the table before walking away. Minutes passed. Water glasses remained empty. Servers attended to nearby tables while deliberately avoiding eye contact with Jasmine. When Maria finally arrived, her eyes bright with excitement about their legal victory, the neglect became even more apparent. "This is strange," Maria whispered after 15 minutes without service. "Should we leave?" Jasmine considered it. The slight had evolved from subtle to obvious. She watched as Claire spoke to a waiter, gesturing in their direction. The waiter, a young black man, appeared uncomfortable with whatever instructions he was receiving. "No," Jasmine decided. "We're staying." When the waiter finally approached, his discomfort was palpable. "I'm Darius. I'm supposed to tell you that our kitchen is backed up and service will be delayed by at least an hour." Jasmine studied him. "Is that true, Darius?" His eyes flickered briefly to the floor before meeting hers. "No, ma'am, it's not. I thought so," Jasmine said quietly. "Tell me, how long have you worked here?" 6 months, he replied. "It's my first serving job. Do you like it?" Darius hesitated. "The pay is good, but—" He trailed off, glancing nervously at Claire, who was watching them intently. Jasmine nodded. "I understand. More than you know." The evening took an unexpected turn when Christopher approached their table again, this time accompanied by an older gentleman in an impeccable suit. "Ms. Crockett, "This is Mr. Laurent, the owner," Christopher said. He like a word. Mr. Laurent, silver-haired and distinguished, bowed slightly. "May I join you, ladies? I understand there's been a situation." Jasmine gestured to the empty chair. Maria shifted uncomfortably beside her. "I apologize for any inconvenience," Mr. Laurent began, his French accent still strong despite decades in America. "Christopher has informed me of the irregularities in your service tonight." Before Jasmine could respond, Claire approached the table, her face tense. "Mr. Laurent, the senator's party has arrived early. They're asking for this table specifically." Mr. Laurent didn't look up. "Tell the senator I'll speak with him momentarily. These guests were here first." Claire hesitated, then retreated. Mr. Laurent turned back to Jasmine. "When I opened this restaurant 30 years ago, I made a promise that everyone who entered would be treated with dignity. I've failed you tonight." Jasmine measured her response carefully. "Respect shouldn't be exceptional, Mr. Laurent. It should be standard." "You're absolutely right," he agreed, then turned to Darius, who stood nearby. "Please serve Ms. Crockett and her guest our finest menu. Everything is complimentary tonight." After Mr. Laurent left, Darius served them with attentive care. Halfway through their appetizers, he paused, struggling with something internal. "Ms. Crockett," he finally said, "I want to apologize. I should have refused to participate in how you were treated." "Why didn't you?" Jasmine asked, not accusingly, but with genuine curiosity. "I need this job," he admitted. "I'm putting myself through law school." Jasmine set down her fork. "Law school?" "Yes, ma'am. Howard University. First year." His eyes lit up despite his embarrassment. "I want to work in civil rights law someday." A connection formed instantly between them, a bridge of shared purpose across different generations. "Then you have a decision to make tonight," Jasmine said quietly. "About what kind of lawyer, what kind of person you want to become." The dinner progressed, transforming into something neither Jasmine nor Maria had expected. Mr. Laurent returned, pulling up a chair without invitation, but with a kind of desperate sincerity. "My daughter runs our Paris location," he explained, swirling a glass of wine he'd brought. "She's been pushing me to implement anti-bias training for years." I resisted, believing this establishment was above such problems. He looked around at his own restaurant with new eyes. I was wrong. Jasmine considered him thoughtfully. "What will you do now? What would you suggest?" he asked, the question startlingly honest. In that moment, Jasmine felt the weight of choice. She could righteously condemn, demand justice through public shame, or she could build something constructive from this ugly moment. "I teach a workshop for corporations on recognizing and addressing implicit bias," she said finally. "I could modify it for restaurant staff." Across the room, Claire watched their conversation with visible anxiety. Darius hovered nearby, caught between worlds, the establishment that employed him and the justice he aspired to serve. "I'd like to help too," Darius said suddenly, approaching their table with coffee. "With Ms. Crockett's permission, I could develop ongoing training as part of my law school project." Maria, who had been quiet most of the evening, spoke up. "In my country, when I faced discrimination, I had no voice. This is remarkable to witness." Mr. Laurent nodded solemnly. "Ms. Crockett, most people in your position would have walked out or were sued. Why didn't you?" Jasmine thought of her grandmother, who had cleaned houses in Arkansas for white families who never looked her in the eye. She thought of her law professor who'd suggested she be more comfortable at a historically black university when she asked challenging questions. "Change doesn't happen when we walk away from difficult tables," she replied. "It happens when we pull up a chair and start difficult conversations." As Mr. Laurent excused himself, Darius lingered. "Ms. Crockett, would you consider—" He hesitated, gathering courage. "Would you consider mentoring me?" 3 months later, Jasmine returned to Le Chateau. She'd been traveling extensively, her legal practice flourishing after winning a high-profile case. The training program she designed for the restaurant had expanded to 5 other establishments in Mr. Lawrent's restaurant group. The hostess, a new face, welcomed her warmly. "Ms. Crockett, we're honored to have you. Darius mentioned you might stop by tonight." As she was led to her table, Jasmine noticed Claire working in a different section. Their eyes met briefly. Claire nodded, not friendly, but acknowledging. Small steps. Darius approached, now moved up to serving the restaurant's finest section. "My mentor arrives," he said with a broad smile. "I have news." Before he could continue, a commotion erupted at the entrance. A well-known senator, the same one from that night, was berating the hostess about his table. "Do you know who I am?" His voice carried across the restaurant, silencing conversations. Mr. Laurent emerged from his office, but before he could intervene, Claire stepped forward. "Senator, we have a strict policy of treating all guests with equal respect," she said, her voice steady despite her obvious nervousness. "Your table will be ready in 15 minutes as promised." The senator sputtered. "This is outrageous. Perhaps I could buy you a drink while you wait," Jasmine called out, standing from her table. The restaurant fell silent as she crossed the floor. Recognition dawned on the senator's face. "You're that lawyer from the news." "Jasmine Crockett," she confirmed, extending her hand. "And you must be Senator Phillips. I've been hoping to discuss your position on the voting rights bill." The senator's demeanor changed instantly, political instincts kicking in. "Of course, I'd be delighted to chat." As Jasmine guided him to the bar, she caught Claire's grateful look. Moments later, Darius approached with water for both of them. "Look at you," the senator remarked to Darius. "I remember when my grandfather wouldn't even have been allowed in a place like this except to clear tables." "Actually, sir," Darius replied with perfect professionalism, "I'm a law student. This job is helping me pay for school." The senator blinked, recalibrating his assumptions. "Is that so? What kind of law?" "Civil rights, sir. In fact, Ms. Crockett has been mentoring me." The evening concluded with an unexpected alliance. Senator Phillips, initially defensive, became engaged in a substantive discussion about voting rights legislation. By dessert, he'd invited Jasmine to his office to discuss potential amendments that might make the bill more palatable to moderate colleagues. "You're not what I expected," he admitted as they finished their coffee. "I came in with certain preconceptions." "Most people do," Jasmine replied evenly. "The question is whether we're willing to revise them when confronted with reality." Mr. Laurent joined them briefly, beaming with pride at the transformation in his establishment. "Ms. Crockett, your workshop has changed more than just my restaurant. It's changed me." After the senator departed, Darius sat down at Jasmine's table, sliding an envelope across to her. "What's this?" she asked. "My acceptance to the summer internship program at the Civil Rights Division," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "I got in." Jasmine smiled warmly. "I never doubted you would. But I wouldn't have applied without your encouragement," he insisted. "After that night, when I watched how you handled everything, it changed my perspective on what being a lawyer means." Claire approached their table hesitantly. "Excuse me," she said, her eyes downcast. "I wanted to say something before you leave." Jasmine nodded, inviting her to continue. "I've been working here for 7 years," Claire began. "No one ever challenged me before. The training sessions made me realize how many assumptions I make every day about who belongs where." She paused. "I'm not good at apologies, but I am sorry." "Apologies matter less than actions," Jasmine replied. "What matters is what you do differently tomorrow." As she prepared to leave, Mr. Laurent presented her with a small, elegant box. "A token of appreciation," he explained. Inside was a miniature silver chair, a perfect replica of those in the restaurant. "To remind you of the chair you pulled up to the difficult table," he said, "and how it changed all our lives." 1 year later, Jasmine stood at a podium in Le Chateau's private dining room, which had been transformed for the evening. A banner declaring Equal Tables Initiative, 1-year anniversary, hung behind her. The room was filled with restaurant owners, staff members, and social justice advocates. Darius, now in his 2nd year of law school and working part-time as the initiative's coordinator, introduced her. "Ms. Crockett didn't just change one restaurant that night," he told the audience. "She started a movement that has now reached 50 establishments across 3 states." Jasmine surveyed the room. Claire was there, now the training director for Le Chateau's staff development program. Mr. Laurent sat beside Senator Phillips, who had become an unexpected ally in expanding the initiative through legislation incentivizing businesses to participate in anti-bias education. In the back corner, Maria watched proudly. After sharing her own experiences of discrimination, she had become a powerful speaker at their training sessions. A year ago, I faced a choice, Jasmine began. I could respond to disrespect with anger, which would have been justified, or with an invitation to grow. I chose the harder path. She held up the silver chair that now served as the initiative symbol. This represents more than just a seat at a table. It represents the courage to stay when it would be easier to leave, the willingness to teach when it would be simpler to condemn. After her speech, as attendees mingled over dessert, a young black woman approached Jasmine. "I'm starting law school next fall," she said shyly. "I read about what happened here. It's why I applied." Later, as Jasmine prepared to leave, Darius walked her to her car. "You know what still amazes me," he said, "how differently things could have gone if you'd responded the way anyone would expect. There would have been outrage, maybe a lawsuit, probably some bad press for the restaurant. And nothing would have changed." Jasmine finished his thought. Outrage feels good in the moment, but transformation requires something more difficult. Staying at the table when every instinct tells you to walk away. As she drove home, Jasmine reflected on how a single humiliating moment had somehow multiplied into countless opportunities for change, all because she had chosen to respond not just with dignity, but with vision. What began as a moment of humiliation became a movement of transformation. Jasmine's choice to respond with wisdom rather than anger reminds us that true power lies not in reacting to injustice, but in redirecting it toward positive change. Sometimes our most painful experiences become platforms for our greatest impact. Which part of Jasmine's journey surprised you most? Share in the comments and subscribe to witness more stories that show how a single moment of grace can ripple outward, changing hearts and systems one difficult conversation at a time.